You've carried it for years, that quiet voice that tells you you're not enough, not holy enough, not disciplined enough, not worthy enough. And no matter how hard you try, it lingers. You serve, you pray, you show up. But deep down, there's this ache, this feeling that you're only tolerated, never truly accepted. You wonder if God looks at you and sees all the ways you fall short, the broken habits, the quiet sins, the thoughts you'd never say out loud. And instead of drawing close, you perform. You hide behind doing more, hoping that maybe effort will earn affection, but it never feels like it's working. The guilt stays, the shame lingers, and slowly you start believing the lie that you'll never be good enough, not for people, and especially not for God. You start wondering if this is just who you are, someone who believes in God but never feels close to Him, someone who reads truth but doesn't feel worthy of it. And no matter how many times you hear God loves you, something in you flinches, because it feels like that love is for someone better, someone stronger, someone more consistent. So you lower your expectations. You stop hoping for intimacy and settle for distance. You convince yourself that being used by God is enough, even if you never feel fully known. But deep down, that ache still lingers, not to be impressive, just to be enough, to be seen and not dismissed, to be flawed and still wanted. That kind of love feels foreign, unreal, and yet something in you still longs for it. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that God only stays close when you're doing well, that He celebrates strength but steps back when you stumble. So you carried your shame like armor, pretending you were fine even when your soul was tired. But that isn't who He is. God isn't drawn to perfection. He's drawn to honesty. He came close to the broken. He sat with the outcasts. He touched the unclean, the ones who had nothing to offer, but everything to receive. And maybe that's the point. Maybe grace isn't something you earn. It's something you collapse into, not by cleaning yourself up, but by finally admitting you can't. That's when God gets nearest. Not when you impress Him, but when you let Him love you in the mess. You're not the only one who feels this way. So many walk into church with a smile and a secret, carrying silent questions like, if they really knew me, would they still accept me? But the truth is, God already knows. Every detail, every failure, every moment you wanted to quit but didn't. And He's not intimidated. He's not disgusted. He's moved, not by your strength, but by your surrender. Because it's in your weakness that His love becomes most real. Not a reward for the worthy, but a lifeline for the weary. You don't have to prove your value to Him. You already have it. Not because of what you've done, but because of who He is. A God who loves fully, not selectively. And that kind of love changes everything. You've spent so long trying to become someone God could use that you forgot. He already chose you before you ever proved anything. He didn't wait for you to get stronger. He didn't ask you to clean yourself up. He called you when you were still in the middle of the mess, because He sees you differently than you see yourself. You look at your failures and think disqualified. He looks at your honesty and sees ready. What you call weakness, He calls space for grace. You think He's looking for perfection, but He's always been drawn to surrender. And when you finally stop trying to impress Him, you realize you were never meant to earn His love, only to receive it, fully, without conditions, without performance. Because your value isn't based on how you feel, it's based on who He is, and He never changes. There's a quiet kind of healing that begins the moment you stop striving, when you stop trying to earn God's attention and start believing you already have it. That moment when the weight lifts, not because you became perfect, but because you finally let grace in. You realize God isn't waiting for a better version of you. He's meeting you in the version you are right now. Tired, unsure, inconsistent, but open. And that's enough. Not because you've achieved something, but because He already did. The cross wasn't just about forgiveness. It was proof that even in your worst, He saw something worth dying for. You don't have to be impressive to be loved. You just have to be His. And you are, whether you feel it yet or not. God isn't asking you to become enough. He's asking you to trust that He already is. That where you fall short, He fills in. That where you feel weak, His strength shows up. You don't have to fix yourself before you come close. You come close, and He does the healing. You were never meant to carry the pressure of being worthy. Jesus already carried that for you. What you feel doesn't change what's true. And the truth is, you are loved, chosen, and held, even when you doubt it, even when you don't feel like you deserve it. God's love isn't fragile. It doesn't break when you do. It stays, it covers, it heals. And right now, it's reaching for you. Not the version of you you're trying to be, the one you are, right here, right now. And He's not disappointed. He's delighted you came. You were never meant to earn your place in God's heart. You've always had it, not because you got everything right, but because He chose to love you when you had nothing to give. That's the beauty of grace. It reaches before you reach back. It speaks when you're too tired to pray. And it calls you worthy, even when you don't feel it. So maybe the goal isn't to feel good enough. Maybe it's to believe that God's goodness is greater than your brokenness, that your story isn't over, that your weakness isn't the end. It's the beginning of something holy, something deeper, something real. Because God never asked you to be perfect, just willing. So what would change if you finally believed you were already enough in His eyes?